probably not how we necessarily envision the series going, but the Seattle Mariners come away with another series win. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome into the Seattle Mariners post-game recap. The Mariners defeat the Chicago White Sox this afternoon 6-5. They improved to 5-1 on this road trip, 28-20 overall. They still maintain their lead in the American League West. Now they head down to Houston, Texas for a big 4-game series starting tomorrow with George Kirby on the bump. Let's go. Before I dive any further, as always, you know the drill. Hit, smash, whatever you need to do, that like button. I appreciate it. It helps the channel. Comment your thoughts on the team and the game down below. And if you're new or lurking, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. About 265, give or take 64, I think, subs away from 5,000. So I can taste it. We're almost there. Thank you all so much for subbing. Think about becoming channel members. Members, I will hopefully do a stream. This weekend's going to be tough. I forgot it's 11 a.m. game Sunday. I may try and shoot for Friday. So if you want to become a member, come in and hang out in the stream. This one won't have a contest giveaway, but we do those occasionally as well. And if you become a member, you get to see me do Sporkle quizzes, immaculate grids, all that type of stuff. Just a nice little break sometimes from the Mariners. And the live streams are fun. I do the play-by-play, and we just all kind of hang out. It's like we're all just hanging out, having a beer, a Coke, a water, whatever you drink, and just watch a little ball. So think about becoming a channel member. Let's get into the scoring recap real quick, and then we'll talk about the game. A little bit longer scoring recap than yesterday, that's for sure. In the top of the first, Julio Rodriguez homered on a line drive to center field that scored J.P. Crawford and Jorge Polanco. That gave the Mariners a 3-0 lead. In the bottom of the third, Tim Elko homered on a fly ball. I like that name, Elko, to left field. That made it 3-1. That cut the Mariners' lead to 3-1. Lenny Sosa homered on a fly ball to left field that scored Matt Thaiss in the bottom of the fourth. That tied the game at 3. Joshua Palacios homered on a fly ball to right field also in the bottom of the fourth. That gave the White Sox a 4-3 lead. In the top of the sixth, Cal Raleigh homered on a fly ball to left field. That tied the game at 4. In the bottom of the seventh, Chase Mydroth singled on a ground ball to right field. That scored Tim Elko. That made the game 5-4 White Sox. And in the top of the eighth, Leody Taveras homered on a fly ball to right center field that scored Leo Rivas and obviously Leody Taveras. That made the game 6-5, and that was your final score in this one. Mariners win a series. They go into Chicago and they get it done. Listen, had they been swept by the Padres, had the Mariners been 19-27, would I come away from this series super impressed? No, but this team has built up a little bit of equity this season. They have played good ball. How do I know that? Their overall body of work is good. They're 28-20. They're 5-1 on this road trip. They played a really good team in San Diego that probably had a great crowd. I'm sure. I'm watching the game. The attendance looked great in San Diego over the weekend. They swept them. Then, after the Chicago series, you go to Houston for a huge divisional rival series against a divisional rival for 4 games. Sandwiched in the middle, you go to a cold and damp Chicago. You deal with a rain delay in game 2. And I do not mean this as an offense to White Sox fans. Trust me, I'm sympathetic to it. I think the total attendance, if you combined it for all 3 games, 7,000. I mean, am I crazy? I think probably not super far off from that. I'm not talking about the announced attendance. I'm talking about actual people in the stands. So, it's easy to see where there might be a little bit of a letdown in the middle. And truthfully, there really wasn't a letdown. They won 2 games. Apologies that the Mariners didn't win them all 13-0. Yesterday was atrocious and frustrating. I'm not trying to lecture anybody to say that how dare you be frustrated with yesterday's game. It was awful. It was super frustrating. But they come out of here and got a series win. They didn't play their best ball, probably didn't have their best energy, and they still won 2 out of 3. Go to Houston. Now you've got your best 4 pitchers going likely in this series. You should feel pretty good about where this team is at. And also, the White Sox starting pitching is not awful. It's Shane Smith is good. Shane Smith has been legitimately good this year. Adrian Hauser yesterday was announced 4 hours before the game, like I talked about. The scouting report they had was probably all for Wilson. Then Hauser gets announced. You have a 2-hour rain delay. That messes with you. And on Monday, Davis Martin, whose his underlying, StatCast stuff isn't as great as his actual numbers. But, he's pitched all right. And then they got to a pretty good reliever in Boozer, who we saw yesterday is good. They were able to get to him on Monday night. So despite all the frustrations, yesterday was awful, right? There's no denying that. Take that one, throw it away. Nobody's going to fight and tell you yesterday was a good game. It was terrible. But they scored 5 runs on Monday. They scored 6 runs today. They scored 6 runs on Sunday. They scored 4 runs Saturday. They scored 5 runs on Friday. They are still finding a way to get some runs. They're not stringing together the base hits and putting up 10, 11, 12. But again, they're continuing to do what we needed them to do last year, and which made it so frustrating, and one of the reasons why they didn't get in the playoffs. So many games where they got good starts and just let it go to waste because they couldn't find the bloop and the blast. Or that's all they would find is one bloop and one blast. They're still finding a way to put up some runs on the board. They're not, I don't think they've quite been the MASH unit they were in April, but they've still been fine. They're still finding a way to get it done. So, I listen, there's obvious needs for upgrade. I'm not just going to sit here and tell you that this team needs to stand pat and do nothing. I think you do need to look for some stuff, and we'll talk about all that as we get closer to the deadline for sure. There's improvements to be made, but they're kind of getting it done and doing the job and, getting W's. And now you go to Houston and, a big series and you feel good. You got George Kirby back on the bump tomorrow. Emerson Hancock's threw the ball well, Brian Wu, and Luis Castillo going in the series. So you feel pretty good there that you've got your big 4 lined up, to get the job done, your current big 4 in that series. So, and I thought Logan Evans was all right today. The ball was blown out a little bit. The home runs are frustrating. You'd like to not give that up, and giving up 4 runs to the White Sox. I can't stand here and say that's an impressive start because the White Sox offense is really bad. But, 6 strikeouts, only 1 walk. I thought Evans was all right. He got through 6 innings as well. I thought that was crucial for the team. Thought he was fine. And had they lost this game, I'm not going to blame Logan Evans, who entered the year as kind of your 7th, 8th depth starter. But I thought he actually threw the ball right today. Just gave up a couple long balls. It's going to happen. It's easier to say that when the Mariners win, for sure. But I didn't think he was bad at all today. There were some frustrating moments. Randy with the bases loaded in the 7th. They score the 3 runs on the walk home run before Smith even records an out. Then they kind of go down, get shut out, for the rest of his 5 innings. Rowdy has a chance with some guys on, doesn't come through. But again, you're still getting some of those base runners. You're still getting guys on. Someone will put one in the gap here. Someone's going to find a base hit. We talked about that early in the year a lot with some of the frustrations hitting with runners in scoring position. I think just a little bit of that today. Randy finds a base hit there. Rowdy finds a base hit. They put up 8 or 9, in this game. Now they didn't, right? They didn't find those base hits, but, keep putting the runners on and good things will happen. And again, Shane Smith's good. I don't know how good. It's kind of I think he was a Rule 5 pick, if I'm not mistaken. But he's looked solid. I don't think he's like a top 5 guy in the American League, but he's a quality starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. So I didn't expect them to necessarily do a ton, and they came out of the gates hot. They were able to chase Smith after 5 innings, something that I talked about yesterday was frustrating because that's something the Mariners have been so good at, was chasing starters. They kind of did that today. They didn't necessarily chase Smith, but they got him out after 5, and they took advantage of what's a pretty poor bullpen and were able to add on some runs and find a way to win it. Once they got it to, even at 4-3, while I was frustrated that the Mariners had been up 3-0 in this game and gave up 4 runs, I also felt good about a battle of the bullpens, right? Especially when Cal homered to tie it. I felt pretty good. I'm like, listen, if it's going to come down to bullpens, their bullpen versus, or I should use the team names, the White Sox bullpen versus the Mariners offense and the Mariners bullpen versus the White Sox offense, I'll take the Mariners 99 out of 100 times. Now, my draw snuck that little single down the line, and it looked like, okay, maybe this isn't going to work out, and they are going to find a way to beat the Mariners. But, the Mariners ended up being the better unit there. How about Leody Taveras with a big Mariners moment? Really good to see. He had a nice double yesterday. I think he had a couple hits today. Let me pull up the box score here real quick. He was 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. I mean, there's been some frustrating moments, but he had the big double on Sunday in San Diego. He had that big base hit in Sacramento during his first game that tied that one up in the 8th inning. Leone's been all right. Like, he's given you kind of what you need to fill in that right field position, someone with a little bit more upside than maybe a Samad Taylor or Ryland Thomas is going to give you. I think he's adjusting to playing more right field because he played center field in Texas, didn't he? So there's been some kind of right field moments, but he could be adjusting to new possession there. So I think Leone's been all right. Like, he's not perfect by any means. There's flaws in his game for sure. That's why he was placed on waivers, right? If he was amazing perennial all-star, he'd be playing ball in Texas right now. But I think he's been fine. I think he's giving you what you kind of need in that spot in the right field. So let's go ahead and dive into the box score. Let's start with Logan Evans. 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, all earned, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. I said 6. It was 7 strikeouts. Does give up the 3 home runs. That's frustrating. Evans throws 90 pitches, 58 for strikes. Again, take away. I shouldn't say that. Take away the home runs. Well, gee, great. I mean, you could do that with every pitcher. They'd look a lot better. I thought Evans was fine. I don't know how else to really get into that. It wasn't a start you're going to hang in the Louvre anytime you give up 4 to the White Sox, but he got through it. Frustrating that he had the 3-0 lead. But again, with Logan Evans, he's in a tough spot a little bit because he's still developing as a player and as a prospect, but the Mariners are in win now mode, so we're expecting results. So if I view this in the context of the 2025 Mariners is all that matters, and Logan Evans' development does not. It's just about the now. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk is great, but you don't want to get 3 home runs to the White Sox. But if we look at it in terms of Logan Evans and his development as a prospect, I thought he was fine. Maybe that's how I needed to word that a little bit better there. Kudos to him for going 6 as well. He was at 82, 83 pitches. I thought his day might be done. Dan sent him back out there for the 6th, and he got through it. I wasn't sure about that decision, but it saved an extra inning for the bullpen. So, nice job there for Evans to get through the 6 innings. Casey Legumina throws the 7th inning. He actually ends up getting the win. 1 inning pitched, 1 hit, 1 run. It was not earned, a walk in 2 Ks. I thought there was an infield hit. Did they call it an error? Let's look that up here in the bottom of the 7th, right? Bottom of the 7th, top of the 7th. Andrew Vaughn flies out. Elko reaches on an error by Dylan Moore. I think originally when I was at work checking it, they said single, so they must have changed it to an error. And then Josh Rojas walked. I think there was 2 pitches in that at-bat that could have been strikes that were called balls. Listen, it happens. It's baseball. You got to get over it. Probably could have been a different result there. And then Mydroth hit one at 70 miles per hour, nubbed it down the right field line there. Not taken away from Mydroth. That kind of seems to be his game, and that's fine. But I thought my point is Legumina was fine there. And then actually runners are at the corners, and he gets a big strikeout of Miguel Vargas and Matt Dice. Vargas has been a solid player this year, so good job by Legumina to not let that get him down, go out and get those couple outs. And it might have won them the game, right? Because they get 2 runs in the top of the 8th on the Taveras home run, and that would have only tied it if a sac fly or something scores another one. Carlos Vargas was outstanding in the 8th inning. Shut inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, and a strikeout. Munoz locks it down in the 9th. I did not think Munoz had his best stuff at all. And again, I mean that as an absolute compliment to Andres Munoz because he locks it down for a save, gives up the leadoff hit to Vaughn with 2 strikes. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Can the White Sox just roll over and die, please? Please. But then Munoz gets a couple pop-ups and a ground out to win it. Again, I didn't think he had his best stuff, but that's going to happen. And again, Andres Munoz, even at 60%, is probably better than 95% of the relievers in the American League. So he locks down his 16th save of the year. A little surprised we didn't see Matt Brash. Maybe Dan's thought on it is because Legumina pitched back-to-back days. Vargas has pitched back-to-back days. I thought for sure we'd see Brash 8th, Munoz 9th. Maybe Dan looked at it like, I don't want to use Brash and Munoz in this game because Brash, we know if he pitches today, is down tomorrow. Munoz, how many pitches did Munoz throw? He threw 1. No, that's ground outs to flyouts. 16. It's tough to say with Munoz because that's not enough where I'd say he's definitely down tomorrow, but he's been up and down in the bullpen a bunch. He was probably even up last night, I imagine, when it was 1-0, just in case Taveras got into one or something like that. So he's been up in the bullpen in almost every game. So there's a chance I think he's down tomorrow. But so maybe Dan was looking at it as 1, I trust Carlos Vargas against the White Sox. And 2, this allows me to keep Spire and Brash for Houston. It's a dangerous game, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen in the Houston series. There's no guarantee that you're going to even need Brash or Munoz. Maybe you lose every game 8-0. Maybe you win every game 8-0 as well. But, you never know. So I don't like playing that game. But, you know what? Let's actually look. Was there any info on Matt Brash? Let me just pull it up here. Let me just see if maybe Dan said something on it. I don't really see anything there on Matt Brash. Okay, I didn't see anything. I thought maybe someone asked Dan why not Matt Brash in the 8th. They just wanted to make sure, coming off TJ, that everything's okay. So, you feel pretty good that you got Brash, Spire tomorrow that are good. I'm sure Vargas and Legumina are down. You should have Colin Snyder as well. And I think there's a chance you have Andres Munoz good to go tomorrow. You do have to be a little bit careful with George Kirby. Don't expect him to go 6-7 innings in his first start back. It's probably going to be 4 or 5. So you do want someone there to soak up the innings a little bit. Jesse Hahn is back up, and Casey Lawrence went down. I always salute Casey Lawrence for his work with this team. I actually kind of wish Lawrence would stick in the bullpen because I do think a long man would be nice to have on some days. So I hope Lawrence is back. I'm thinking more than likely Troy Taylor goes down to activate George Kirby tomorrow. And then, I talked about Munoz locking down the save. So nice job by the pitching staff and the bullpen there. I thought Legumina was fine, just a little BABIP and some bad umpiring. Offensively, the Mariners put up 7 hits, 6 runs, 5 walks. JP Crawford 0 for 3, but with 2 walks. So JP, even when he's not getting hits, is finding his way on base. I think someone was hit by a pitch too. Let's see. Rosarina and Polanco. Jorge Polanco 0 for 3 with a walk and a hit by pitch. So Polanco on base twice. Want to see the pop come back a little bit. He still had some good plate appearances, but kind of pounding everything into the ground. A little worried that maybe he's a little banged up because he's not swinging right-handed again. So, we'll see. I haven't really seen any updates on that. Julio 1 for 5 with a 3-run home run, his 9th. Julio had a 724 OPS. Again, OPS is not the end-all be-all, but this has been a much better April, May for Julio. The power has been there more than we've seen in the past from him. I mean, I think last year at this point, I think he had 1 home run, but I think he was OPSing in the 5s. So, and Julio at a 725 OPS is certainly not the player we want, right? We expect MVP level, and that's not MVP. That is still a really good baseball player, good base runner, good center fielder, and a good hitter. So Crawford boxes in Houston. Maybe Julio peppers those a little bit this weekend. Hopefully he does. Cal Raleigh, I'm look 2 for 3, a home run, 2 walks, Cal on base 4 times, a double, his 16th home run. I mean, God, that's such a beautiful line score to look at when someone's like 2 for 3 with 2 walks and a home run. Oh, it's just beautiful, beautiful. Great game from the dumper. Randy 0 for 4 hit by pitch. Need a Randy hot streak. Come on, Randy. We need you. I can be a little jovial and light about it when the Mariners win, and I'm not as like, come on, but like, need a Randy hot streak here. Crawford boxes again. Maybe Randy can pepper those a little bit this weekend. Would be great to see. Disappointing at bat from Randy in the 7th inning there with the bases loaded. Was really hoping he would come through and deliver a base hit. He does reach base on a hit by pitch. Rowdy Tellez was 1 for 4. It was a big one. It was the double. Did they change that to a single? They did, and made an error on Taylor, but whatever. It was a big at-bat and a nice job by Rowdy there. Rivas pinch ran was 0 for 1. Leody Taveras, nice game, 2 for 4 with a single and the 2-run home run. Happy for Leody. Really hope he makes an impact here because I think he can. I think that's a kind of a savvy pickup by the Mariners, and I hope it pays off. Dylan Moore 0 for 4. Ben Williamson 0 for 2, and Masterboni was 1 for 2 pinch hitting for Williamson. Do wonder if we're getting close to Cole Young time. They're running out Dylan Moore pretty much as your everyday second baseman, which right now I'm fine with. Honestly, that's probably your best bet. But, with everything going on, I think it would be nice to have Demo kind of back in that roving, playing a little bit of everywhere position. So I'd be curious. I wouldn't be shocked if we're super far away from a Cole Young call-up. I know some people have asked about Tyler Locklear over Donovan Solano. I will reiterate, I'm fine with that. I have no problem if they want to do that. But one, I don't think they're going to bring up Locklear and platoon him. And I'm not an expert. Someone can comment that knows more about the minors than I do. but he's hitting in the PCL, which is a big hitter's, kind of paradise. And I think he's hitting a lot of ground balls. He's hitting everything on the ground. From what I've heard, I haven't dug into it too much. It's just not my area of expertise. If you want better minor league info, that there are way better people on that than me. Just my thought. I think that's why they're hesitant on Locklear. They don't want to platoon him. And I don't think they really think that the bat has been amazing. And I know the comeback's going to be, well, he can't be worse than Solano. Yes, but we're talking about Donovan Solano past. Like going forward, there is a chance I think it's equal. I also think there's a chance Solano's completely toast. So, but you could even make that work with Dylan Moore if you don't want to go with Locklear. Dylan Moore could kind of take those at-bats, pinch hit for Rowdy if you call up a Cole Young or something like that. So we'll see what the Mariners decide to do there. But, most of in fact, I think all the damage coming from home runs today, right? Yeah, in fact, almost all road trip. Have the Mariners had a hit that's resulted in a run? They did Sunday, right? Mastroboni, Garver, Julio in the ninth inning, but it's been a lot of home run. It's been very how the Mariners were built, right? Walks and home runs. It's been more of that. And I think maybe that's why the offense looks a little bit more like, because they're not putting together as many base runners maybe. But they can win games like this. It's good to see them win both. And Shane Smith for the White Sox went 5 innings, 2 hits, 3 run, 3 earned, 2 walks, 6 Ks. And they had him at, how many pitches did Smith throw? 87. So, I mean, maybe he could have gone out there for 6, but he'd been well over 100. They got to him early, got the pitch count up. I think he was in the 70 something after 3 innings. So they did a pretty good job there getting that pitch count up on Smith. Fun weekend coming up in Houston. And I say fun for a reason. This should be good baseball. You should look forward to this as a baseball fan. It's Houston that has to make up ground this week. I know I have a lot of Astros fans that watch my videos, and any fan is welcome to my videos, by the way. That's not something I'm, as long as we're all cordial, like none of us have any impact on the game for the record. So none of this is meant to like put down. Houston is the defending AL West champs. I will not, they're like 8-time defending AL West champs. I will not count them out until they're out. But they're the ones that have to make up the ground, right? They're 3.5 back. Now we're in May, right? There's plenty of time. But if you go in and split the series, that's fine. That is absolutely fine. It's Houston that's looking to make up ground. It's Houston that's wanting, probably not needing necessarily at this point, to take 3 out of 4. You just got to hold your ground. It should be a fun series. I'm hoping, look at the pitching matchups. I think advantage Mariners. I think they have a chance. McCullers has really struggled. We don't know what we're going to get from Kirby first outing. Friday, I think, is Gatton. It's going to drive me nuts. I don't have anything on me to pull it up. Gaston against Hancock. So, that's maybe even. I haven't looked up the Astros starters numbers. Saturday is a great pitching matchup. Wu and Framber Valdez. Enjoy it. That should be great baseball. I think Sunday is Castillo versus to be determined. So should be a fun series down in Houston. Enjoy it. See if the Mariners can get a couple W's. And, if they can split this series in Houston, it's a 7-3 road trip. That is a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing. You certainly don't want to be swept, but even that would be a 5-5 road trip. However, that would put you below the Astros. So, as long as you don't get swept, you will come home in first place more than likely. So, listen, go win the series, right? Go win 3 out of 4. That's what you want to do. But, realistically, I think a split is what you're probably, if you can come out of the split, I think we'd all be pretty happy. So Mariners get a series win. Maybe not the prettiest series win they've ever had, but they don't have to be. This team's got a little equity right now. Keep it going. Go into Houston. George Kirby on the bump tomorrow. Logan Gilbert on his way back. Let's have some fun this weekend. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. And as always, go Mariners.